midst of a blazing desert, a sound rang out, the sound of a death rattle. Just a moment was enough to distinguish between the living and the dead. But in this harsh place, who is the real ruler? Sonoran Desert. The deadly battle of the Rattlesnake. In the midst of the Sonoran Desert, a dry strip of land stretching from Arizona to northern Mexico, nature still operates according to the most cruel laws. The temperature can exceed 45 degrees Celsius during the day and drop to near zero when the night falls. A harsh world where death lurks at every step. However, in the midst of that dry sea of Desert, there still exist resilient warriors, creatures that have learned to adapt and turn this deadly place into their own kingdom of survival. Under the hot sand, a figure moved silently. Its mottled brown-gray scales blended with the soil and rocks, almost disappearing before the eyes of others. The triangular head rose, its dark yellow eyes cold as hot steel. In the dead silence, its tail shook slightly. Its dry rattle rang out, like a warning to any unfortunate creature that crossed the boundary of survival. Rattlesnake, the silent killer of the Sonoran Desert. Its body was more than 1.5 meters long, its muscles tight under its thick scales like armor. On its head, its characteristic heat-sensing pits helped it see the warmth from surrounding creatures, even in absolute darkness. For it, nothing could hide, not even the smallest heartbeat in the hot sand. It did not hunt. It ambushed. Its body coiled like a living spring, waiting for the right moment to strike. Its bite was faster than the blink of an eye, its hollow fangs injecting venom, a substance that could dissolve blood and paralyze nerves in seconds. Its venom is a powerful mixture of enzymes and proteins that can dissolve tissue, destroy blood vessels, and stop the heart in just a few minutes. For small creatures, it is an instant death sentence, but for humans, even a small amount is enough to cause severe necrosis. as the poison gradually takes hold and the prey collapses. With cold, perfect instinct, the rattlesnake slithers away, following the scent of blood lingering on the wind. It is a perfect hunt. The sun gradually disappears behind the red horizon, the fading light of day giving way to a thick darkness that covers the desert. The dry heat of noon disappears, leaving a biting cold that creeps through every crevice of the rocks. Rows of saguaro cacti rise silently like giant shadows in the dark night. In the darkness, the Sonora Desert seems to transform into another world, where every sound echoes far away, and every small movement has a meaning of survival. From a cold crevice, the rattlesnake slithered out again, its body undulating slowly like a black wave on the silver sand. The heat-sensing pits under its eyes glowed faintly, scanning the space, recording every flicker of warmth from the small creatures searching for food in the night. For it, the night was not a time of rest, but a time of death. All senses were activated, every vibration of the ground, every change of wind was a signal. In the distance, a small rat kangaroo was jumping nimbly on the sand, its ears pricked up, unaware that death was approaching. The snake was ready for a lightning bite. The air was tense to the point of suffocation. Then suddenly, the rattlesnake lunged forward. The sand was a blur, leaving the predator to miss, its fangs digging into the cold, dry soil. The tail behind it shook slightly, emitting a dry, rattling sound, no longer a warning, but an angry cry echoing in the night. In the desert, victory is not for the fastest, but for the most patient. And in that darkness, the rattlesnake crouches quietly, waiting for the next opportunity for death to speak once more. The Sonora sun returns after a cold night, dyeing the vast sea of the squalled sand golden. The wind blows through the saguaro cactus, carrying the thick heat that signals the beginning of a harsh new day. As the desert wakes up, From afar, the sound of small footsteps rushing through the sand, roadrunners, desert runners. Unlike most birds, roadrunners rarely fly. Their short wings are only used to maintain balance when sprinting, while their real strength lies in their long, muscular legs built for speed. They can reach more than 30 kilometers per h, far surpassing any other reptile on the sand. Each step is a perfect combination of speed, neatness, and precision. On its body, layers of gray-brown feathers mixed with white reflect the blazing sunlight, helping it blend into the golden sand. Its black, golden eyes constantly rotate around, constantly scanning the smallest movement on the ground. In a world full of death, the Roadrunner is not just a potential prey, it is a real predator. It eats everything it can catch: insects, lizards, small mice, and even those venomous creatures that other creatures avoid, snakes. Its recklessness and daring make it one of the few birds that dares to challenge the rattlesnake, the deadly symbol of the Sonoran Desert. Noon, the air vibrates in the stifling heat. On the sand, the rattlesnake lies motionless, its scaly body blending with the color of the earth, only its tail quivering slightly. A dry rattle cuts through the still air. In the distance, the Roadrunner has spotted it. Its eyes narrow, its body lowers. Instead of retreating, it advances. Each step is light as the wind, its feet drawing small curves in the sand. When the distance is only a few meters, the rattlesnake raises its head, coils, its hollow fangs flashing in the sunlight. A breathtaking moment. A fierce battle breaks out. Seconds, the fight was over. Amidst the red sand, the Roadrunner stood motionless, breathing heavily, its beak still clutching its opponent. It tilted its head, its sharp eyes reflecting the sunlight, the image of a small, bold, and proud warrior. In Sonora, the venomous one does not always win. Sometimes, speed and recklessness alone are enough to overturn the rules of the desert. A hot wind swept across the desert, carrying the traces of sand left after the fight. The Roadrunner departed, leaving behind the motionless body of the bellbear. Sonora returned to silence. Only the dry whistling of the wind between the sunburned thorn bushes. From above, a wide shadow swept across the sand. For all the solitary nature of a predator, Harris never goes it alone. He is a master of coordinated tactics, circling in groups of 3 to 6, sharing shoulders, encircling his prey with the precision of a trained army. In a harsh world where water is scarce and food is scarce, cooperation is the most powerful weapon. From above, glowing yellow eyes scan the desert. Below, a jackrabbit, a Sonoran hare, darts between the low thorn bushes, its long ears vibrating with each heartbeat. Unbeknownst to him, 3 shadowy wings are silently closing from 3 directions. A Harris hawk swoops down. Seconds, the hunt is over. The wind carries the cry to a halt, returning the desert to its original silence. In the sunlit sky, hawks circled the prize, not just a meal but a testament to wisdom and unity, rare qualities in a land that knows only harshness. In Sonora, the strong are not necessarily the fast or the vicious. Sometimes, domination belongs to the hunters who share the sky. As dusk falls, the Sonora sky glows in fiery red. Atop the giant saguaro cacti, Harris hawks spread their wings and return to their nests. They carry the spoils of the day, a small lizard, or sometimes a desert mouse, a gift for the next generation waiting. Amid the arid landscape and the scorching heat, the scene has a strange tenderness. against the dark red sky, hawk's wings spread wide, flying over the vast sea of dishes, the sand, a symbol of maternal love and enduring vitality in the Sonoran Desert. The Sonora sun gradually lowers, the last light dyeing the hot sands red. As the rulers of the sky have returned to their nests, the ground belongs to the small creatures, those who exist on the thinnest boundary of life. Amidst the sand mottled with cactus shadows, a small creature pressed its body close to the ground, almost disappearing into the yellow sand. The horned lizard, the tiny warrior of the Sonoran Desert. Its body was flat, covered with hard spikes like armor, its head protruding two small horns, creating a strangely fierce appearance. It lived on red desert ants, a famously aggressive insect, and sometimes beetles, termites, or small worms. Its enemies were countless: whip snakes, kit foxes, great horned owls, and even Harris hawks considered it a rare delicacy in this arid land. But even though surrounded by predators, the horned lizard did not run away. When the predator approached, the horned lizard remained silent until the last second, then suddenly spat out a thin stream of bright red blood from the corner of its eye, throwing it straight at its opponent. The liquid contained a strong fishy smell that made the foxes, hawks, or snakes run away in panic. Thanks to that strange tactic, it has survived for thousands of years in this dead land. During the day, the horned lizard lies pressed on the sand, its body changing color to match the ground to avoid the sunlight of more than 45 degrees Celsius. At night it burrows into the cold sand, absorbing the rare moisture from the night dew to survive. Every breath, every movement is calculated, as if it understands that in Sonora, survival is not just about fighting, but knowing how to hide at the right time. In this land where the heat is scorching and darkness always lurks, life still persists, from the snake that spreads death, the bird that dares to glide on the sand, to the tiny warrior who knows how to hide in the desert. Sonora is not only a place of death, but also a testament to the resilient vitality of nature, where every creature contributes to the endless cycle of survival. And you, which species impressed you the most on this journey? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next survival battles. As the morning sun dries the mud, a mother and her baby hippo follow the edge of the swamp in search of fresh grass. The calf, almost a year old, curiously follows, unaware that the world that is about to unfold before their eyes will be completely different. A roar rings out, mud flies everywhere. Two adult males charge at each other. A territorial battle has begun. In southwestern Kenya, where the Talek River flows into the Mara, there is a world that is both rich and brutal, a place where survival is not for the weak. Here, under the murky, muddy water, a baby hippo is born among a herd of 40. He is named Gumba, meaning strong, in the ancient Maasai language. From the very beginning, Gumba learns one thing: water is life, but it is also a place filled with danger. Together with his mother, he practices diving with his breath held, with only his nose and ears above the water, a basic survival skill of hippos. Gumba's skin is sensitive to the harsh sunlight, and the special red sweat from his body is no protection without mud. One morning, when the early morning sun was still soft and the sandbank of the Talek River was just warm enough to dry the mud on his back, Gumba's mother decided to take him ashore to rest, a rare moment of the day to recover. But as they waded through the shallow water, a group of crocodiles had taken over the golden sand, stretching out motionless, camouflaged like dry logs in the sun. Gumba's mother did not hesitate. In that moment, in the heart of the harsh savanna, his mother gave him something more precious than shade or water, the feeling of absolute protection. But the wild world is never a peaceful home. Even within the herd, Gumba, with his small stature and gentle personality, became the target of bullying. In the hippo herd, the law is unspoken: the weak will always retreat. One scorching afternoon, when the Talek River was low, Gumba was surrounded by a larger calf and forced to the edge of the swamp. Mother Gumba, weighing over a ton, charged forward like a swamp chariot, pushing the aggressor away. She did not roar like a lion, nor did she scream like a hyena, but each of her stomps created fierce waves. Each of her gores was an unmistakable warning. The herd fell silent. The other cubs backed away, their eyes avoiding each other. From that day on, no one dared to touch Gumba while his mother was still present. In the cruel wild world, his mother was the last fortress. One day, he would have to defend himself. But until then, he was still surrounded by the largest and most indomitable figure of his life. As time passed, Gumba grew from a weak calf into a nearly 2-ton male hippo, muscles rippling under a thick, ash-gray hide. But with maturity came the first dry season of his life, a cracked and unforgiving nightmare. The Masai Mara savanna was parched and scorched. The ground was cracked like old crocodile skin, and the once vast taluk was a muddy, murky, foul-smelling stretch of water. The mud was stinking. The water was hot as a soup of sunshine, but that was all Gumba had left. With no deeper water to hide in, the herd was forced to squeeze into the small water hole, body to body, breath hot, and the air thick with ammonia. Every move could touch another's fangs. In such conditions, any collision could easily escalate into violence. Under the scorching sun of the Maasai afternoon, the mud steaming hot, and the air thick with the smell of shallow water, Gumba, now a full-grown male, faced the inevitable, an older, larger, dominant male hippo approaching. No warning, no choice. The fight broke out fiercely. Two giants of muscle rushed at each other, butting, biting, roaring like thunder. Mud flew into the sky. Blood splattered in crimson streaks. This was not a show of force, it was a fight to the death. Both were badly injured. Gumba had a torn side, bleeding from his shoulder. Finally, the ruler was forced to retreat, dragging his bite-ridden body out of the mud. But before he could retreat far, he was caught in the sights of a pack of lions that had been lurking. Golden shadows rushed out like a whirlwind, forcing the loser into a deadly siege. One fall to the ground, and no chance to get up, even though he was the victor. Gumba quietly left, carrying his wounds and the shadow of someone who no longer belonged. Then, a slight movement on his back. The oxpeckers landed, began to peck at each parasite, sucking the blood that had pooled around the wound. No words, no pact, but they were the silent saviors when Gumba was at his weakest. In a world where the strong survive and the weak die, life sometimes comes from the smallest creatures. It quietly disappeared into the reeds, leaving only a trail of mud that stretched like old blood. But the silence did not last long. As Gumba disappeared, on the other side of the swamp, another figure was lurking for his chance. In the grove of acacia trees, the golden eyes that flashed in the sunset were not the eyes of an outcast, but the eyes of a predator. It was Nuru, a female leopard who had survived 3 dry seasons by her own lonesomeness and sharpness. Unlike the big, muscular, and flamboyant Gumba, Nuru was the embodiment of silence and death. With her spotted fur blending into the bushes, she was almost invisible in the tall grass. When Gumba was pushed away from the herd, Nuru was watching the herd of antelopes march toward the last watering hole where life was scarce, where death became predictable. Masai Mara is no respecter of persons. Today's strong may be tomorrow's prey. And in this never-ending game of survival, every individual from the giant hippo to the quiet leopard is but a fragile pulse in the cruel cycle of nature. Nuru pressed close to the ground, each step as gentle as the wind through the grass. Not a sound, not a leaf stirred. The distance between him and the herd of antelope was less than 40 meters. But in the world of leopards, 40 meters was the distance between life and starvation. In front of him, a young female antelope had just left the herd to find water. She was smaller, agile, but inexperienced, a fatal mistake in a world where the strong are not always the fastest, but the first to strike. Nuru lowered his body a little more, waiting for the perfect moment. The muscles under his spotted skin rippled, his eyes locked on his prey. There was no hatred. No emotion, just pure instinct. And then, like a spring, Nuru sprang away. Nuru breathed heavily, eyes still alertly looking around. He knew he didn't have much time. The hyenas could come at any moment, as could the lions, and a pack of wild dogs circling near the horizon. For the leopard, victory was not killing the prey, but holding it. In the shade of the undergrowth, Nuru began to drag the prey's body up to a nearby tree trunk with extraordinary for a body that weighed no more than 60 kilograms. Up high, no one fought, no one robbed. This was his own dining table, quiet, discreet, and absolutely safe. On a high branch, Nuru gnawed on the last pieces of meat from the young antelope. The sun had almost set, casting a red-gold light over the entire steppe. The rains quietly returned to the Masai Mara, greening the dry grasses and awakening Nuru's deepest instincts. Her body changed, leaving a trail of pheromones on every path, a silent invitation to the males in the air. After a few chases, selections, and tests, Nuru accepted a worthy mate. The mating was quick and fierce, and then the male left, his role over. Now Nuru carried a life within her. She was no longer a silent hunter, but a mother, about to enter a battle more fierce than any she had ever hunted before. Two months later, in a cave hidden deep between giant tree roots and gray rocks, Nuru gave birth to a leopard cub. They were blind, weak, and no bigger than a mouse. In the wild, it was the most beautiful and fragile moment. For weeks, Nuru hid in absolute silence. Every time she went out to hunt, she had to leave her cub alone to face danger. Hyenas lurk. Martial eagles can snatch them away with a single swoop. Even Nuru's other male leopards will kill cubs that are not their own. Enemies are everywhere. Nuru had to learn to move the den every 3 to 5 days before the scent of the young spread to attract predators. Each time she carried her young, she gently bit the neck, her eyes always looking around the bush, her ears perked up at every sound of the wind. For Nuru, at this time survival was no longer about killing prey, but about keeping the young alive, day by day. Time passed like the fierce and cold Mara River in flood season. Nuru's children were now grown strong and instinctively leaving, each to find their own territory, a new life. Nuru returned to the inherent solitude of the leopard, quiet, hidden, quiet. On a cloudy morning, Nuru followed the scent of a baboon, a difficult but protein-rich prey. She hid in the bush, waiting for an opportunity. When the monkeys moved down to the open grassland, Nuru jumped out with lightning speed, neat and precise. Nuru carried the female baboon's body back to the bush. As she dropped it, she heard a small noise. A newborn baby monkey crawled out from under its mother. It squeaked softly, trying to cling to its cold body. Nuru watched for a while, then she carried the mother's body away, leaving the baby under a tree. In the following days, Nuru hunted at night and returned each morning. Although she was not its biological mother, she protected it from the spotted hyenas that came near, chasing them away many times when they came sniffing. The baby monkey survived not because of its mother, but because of the one who had been a threat. As the first rains of the season began to fall on the Masai Mara, the shallow puddles filled up again. The grass grew green and cool mud filled the lowlands. The smell of wet soil and flood waters awakened something long dormant. At a bend in the Talak River, which had once been its old territory, a large figure emerged from the edge of the forest. Gumba, the hippo, who had been driven from the herd, had returned. Bigger, heavier, the scars on his back and shoulders told the story of his solitary years. He stepped into the water, slowly but surely. The old river still smelled familiar, of mud, of his kind, and of challenge. In the distance, a group of hippos were bathing, silent. They did not know that the one who had been the outcast was now ready to reclaim his rightful place. Gumba did not roar, he just stood there, water up to his chest, eyes fixed on the leader who was watching. The silence stretched like a taut rope. And then, without a word, the two rulers charged at each other. He did not stand up again. Gumba let out a low, short growl, not in celebration, but in affirmation. This territory had a new owner. As the sunlight on the river subsided, the group returned. The young approached Gumba, silent. And for the first time in years, the once outcast hippo stood at the center, no longer a bystander. Gumba is back, not just a warrior, but a king of the swamp. The afternoon is falling slowly over the Masai Mara. The last rays of the day are gliding across the Talak River, shimmering in the ripples where Gumba stands. Around him, the hippos are settling down, soaking in the warm water, as if the fight never happened.